these are all step functions. Step function basically means that you were at one level of threshold and then you've suddenly jumped up to the next threshold. So in Maya's case, if you think in terms of, if I go here, in fact, let's just do a third graph, third sheet. So let's say this is 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025, right? And this is space and this is resources. So you've got enough, so you buy 2,000 square feet, 2,500 square feet of space, right? And that is enough for the first 2 years. But in the third year, you have to suddenly jump to 6,000 because you are a wild success. And then in your fifth year, you have to jump to 15,000 square feet, right? If you plot this, what does that look like? If you go to insert and you do recommended charts, there we go. What does that look like? You've stepped up, right? And right now, you've sort of stepped up in a ordered, planned, structured fashion, but it's possible for you to actually do this as a spike. And the problem is for you to step up from from here to here in terms of processing customers, processing orders, servicing customers, keeping them happy, keeping track of things, you would need more resources and more capital. And most plans don't budget that. So by using this design that we've come up with, right? And what is that design? We're saying, listen, there are things that will impact our calculations. So the first thing that will impact our calculation is inventory space is linked to orders per year. Let's do this SKUs. This is actually our space model. Inventory warehouse space model. This is our shipping and processing, shipping/processing model. This is our payment processing model. This is our HR model. And this is our space calculator. So what we've done is we've plugged in these small models in it so that we may not have a perfect response to the step function, but at least our model is dynamic enough to change. It's not going to remain static. And that, I think, is a really key point. I think from a modeling point of view, you want to make sure that you understand where the step functions lie. From a growth point of view, where are you going to need more resources? What is going to stop you from growing further and faster? And then see if you can factor that into your calculation. If you can't, that's perfectly fine. Even if you can hard code values, that also works, right? But the problem with hard coded values is that when you do the dynamic analysis, the data table analysis that we've seen earlier, that doesn't work very well. All right, so now we've done this. What else do we need? So now we have the space requirements. Now we can do a few more calculations. What are those few more calculations? If you go back to your model below, so you've done here. So this you've calculated, right? This you've calculated. You need to make a few adjustments here. You've done some calculations, so you have a sense of what your head count is, so you can get a sense of what the salary expenses would be, but there are going to be other expenses other than salaries. And what would those expenses be? So I need to get a sense of what my salary expense is going to be, right? How much would a cheap manager ops for UAE cost me? So about 10,000 dirhams. Or a finance compliance guy, I'm getting about 7,000. Inventory tech specialist about maybe 6,000. Things are tough. Warehouse guys, okay, let's do these. So if I'm paying 6,000 to the warehouse team, I need to pay a little higher to the shift supervisor, and I need to pay a little higher to the inventory tech guys. That's it, right? So that's my total headcount. Are you okay with these numbers? Again, these are just crude. I'm going to pick a number from the air figures. You can refine them, improve them as you move forward. Here's the next step. So Excel has a simple function that's called sum product, and that gives us our salary expense. So what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to do a simple calculation for all of these lines, right? With this, so I'm going to say sum product, and say take this, my salary levels for each of these people, right? And I'm actually lock it because I have to repeat this again and again, and then comma, and then multiply that with all of these guys here together and give me the sum. So what I'm telling Excel to do is I'm saying take this 10,000, multiply it with this 1, so that gives me 10,000. And then take this 7,000 multiplied by this 1, that gives me 7,000. Then take this 8,000 multiplied by 2, so that gives me 16,000. 8 by 1, another 8,000. 6 by 3, another 18,000. Then sum all of these together and put them down. Oh, Excel does not like my calculations, and the reason for that is it's 10,000, 7,000, 8,000, 8,000 and 6,000. Done something wrong with 53. There you go, that's better. So that's 59,000 dirhams per month times 12, because I have to pay an annual bill, and that's my salary bill. Do you guys follow? Does that make sense? Sum product. So then you extend this from here to here, and you've got your salary bill calculation. Now, admittedly, the problem here, one of the big challenges here, that I haven't factored in inflation. So is there going to be salary inflation? Are some of these people going to come back and say, I've worked with you for 2 years, I run this entire operation on my shoulders, give me a raise, otherwise I quit. And if I quit, all of this is going to fall apart. I think just for the sake of argument, how do we model inflation? We just say, average salary inflation. We haven't factored that in. We put in salary inflation here, salary inflation. We put in, say, it's about 2% a year. Not a lot, just 2% a year. Let's make it 3% a year. Let's be generous. So 3% a year. 3%, we'll increase salaries every year, so that, when people ask us, have you factored in for salary inflation? We say, yes, we have. And the number will change from market to market, right? So this basically means it's going to be this times 1 plus this 3% here. But this 3% is not going to help a lot, because you actually need to compound it, right? So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. So you want to do this for multiple years. So here it's going to be 1 plus this 3%, and you go to increase it, so raise it by 2 so that it gets squared and compounded, and there you go, that's much better. So that's 2, and then extend this. So now you have a really nice, smooth looking salary expense calculation that has factored not just for your headcount, your increase in headcount, but also for salary inflation. All right. Are we good? So you have headcount, and you have salary inflation, and you have salary bill, you have space calculators. So let's do rent. So let's do rental expense. Rental expense, let's do this on a, so my guess is about 2,000 square feet, commercial warehouse space, 2,000, maybe 2,500 square feet will cost you about, my guess is maybe about 100,000 dirhams a year, right? So 100,000 dirhams a year per square feet, if I do 2,000, about maybe, how much is 100,000 per square feet? 100,000 square feet, let's divide that. So 100,000 divided by 2,500 square feet and divided by 12. So about say four dirhams per square feet per month, right? And if I remove the 12, it's about 40 dirhams per square feet per year. So I put that number here 40, and my rental expense basically becomes 40 FNF4 into 1800. There you go. So we have our rental expense calculation, and that's the rental expense calculation. Now, in addition to rental expense, you would also need to do utilities, right? So you need to pay for power, you need to pay for water, you need to pay for gas if you have that. You may need to pay for internet and phone lines, and you may need to pay for cleaning services and securities, right? So this is where we add security, right? So 2,500 square feet, if you calculate all of this, my guess would be maybe about 25 to 30 dirhams per year. So that would become this number. And if you if you do this, I didn't lock it, let's lock it. B68 FNF4 locked. So just in terms of monthly numbers, this is about 6,000 dirhams per year, and this is just about 4,500 dirhams a month. So that makes sense. So these two numbers tie in, right? Now, in addition to rental and utilities, what else do we need? You need something that's we call compliance. So compliance basically means it's essentially to work in UAE, to run a business. So licensing, visas, paperwork, and trade reporting, right? There's stuff that you need to do to run and operate a business in UAE, right? For example, audit. You need an external party to do an audit of your books, and that's a requirement for paperwork, right? So you have to complete that. So you need to pay a certain amount for that, and then you have a annual licensing renewal fee, and my number for that is about $10,000, maybe $12,000, which is about 40,000 dirhams. So, and that's just the licensing paperwork piece, right? So I'd say about 100,000 dirhams a year, and this cost goes up every year. So it goes up like clockwork every year in those spaces. So you've got licensing and compliance, and then you have other incidentals. And we sort of hook that to, let's call it, let's say 5 dirhams. We link that to square footage. So that's going to be 5 function F4 into 1800. There you go. Five is too low. Let's make that 15. Right. So this becomes my total other expenses, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this down. I'll sum this up again. This becomes my. So if you remember, we had this thing called general and administrative expenses. This becomes my total G and A. This is total general and administrative expenses. Right. Now, one of the problems here is that G&A right now does not include salary. So we need to plug that in also. So if you look at your salary expense, this is your salary expense. So you add that to G&A for now. You can keep that separately. If you want to calculate that separately, you can combine it together. That's your call. There's a reason to keep it separate. In fact, what we'll do is we'll keep it separate for now, and then we'll bring it back later. Insurance will run this space, I would guess. So it's not just the space, it's also the space. It's also something to do with employees and inventory and stock, and maybe even liability if you run your own delivery network, right? So let's say about all in all business cover of about 8,000 dirhams a year. maybe expensive, maybe a little more expensive, but we just put that in as a placeholder right now. So this is G&A, and then this is salaries. So you guys have a picture now? The picture is not looking very pretty.